So what we've got is, we've got the GT35 Turbo. Obviously it doesn't come like this. This has all been powder coated. So I've now decided to wrap the entire lot again. So this is the CXRacing manifold. As you can see, the flange is thick as the manifold. I can't fault it. It's brilliant. But I do highly suggest you wrap it because the temperatures are phenomenal. This is the downpipe that comes with the CXRacing kit. Problem is, it doesn't actually fit. It doesn't clear the firewall at the bottom. So bear this in mind. If you're buying the CXRacing kit, you are going to have to take that to a fabricator to get that redone. It doesn't sit right. It's not perfect. I don't know if this is supposed to fit something else. This is the one specifically for the JZZ30, but it did not fit. Also, I highly recommend that you do not use the CXRacing wastegate that is supplied in the kit. It's too bulky, it doesn't fit, and I went with a GFB 44mm external wastegate. The wastegate is a 44mm. I was going to go with Turbo Smart, but they don't do a 44mm, so I went with GFB. I've had no problems with it so far. I'm currently running 10 psi spring, but that will be going up. So as you can see, there's a lot that I've done here. So this is obviously the manifold here, and you've got the downpipe. Now again, I will include a video. The original lambda sensor does not fit in this downpipe. It's got like a 2-bolt flange fitting. This is your 22mm normal lambda sensor. So it's actually a narrow band O2 sensor, which basically means that it works on 3 wires, a blue wire and 2 black wires. So they work off a map sensor, not a MAF sensor. So obviously the early 1Js, to be fair, I'm not 100% sure, but it could be that the VVTIs are exactly the same, but I don't have a VVTI, I have a non-VVTI. So let me know if you guys know that if it's the same one or not. So the one you want is this one. It's a Denso one, and it is DOX 0116. So you've got 2 feeds, you've got one this side, and you've got one this side. Use this side. Don't bother with that side, because once all this is on, you're going to have to take it all off to get to it, because as you can see, access is non-existent, and trust me, from underneath it's even worse. You cannot get your hand in there, so don't bother. Use this. So obviously this is my feed. Again, I ordered a Mamba one because I wasn't impressed with the one that goes in there. So there is an oil feed. Use that one and bung that side off. Coolant wise, a lot of people do it differently, but I use this as a feed. Now, again, I can't really show you because it's all secure. The cartridge on these turbos are so slim. You can't really get a lot in there. So this feed here, if it's flush, that bolt there basically means you can't do that feed up. I advise, don't bother with the CXRacing kit supplied coolant lines. Do not bother with the Mamba. AN fitting. Don't even mess around. Straight AN fitting. So what I've got is I've got an AN fitting there, which is an AN6, and an AN6 there, and then a 120 degree to a barb, and then silicone hose, and then into there. So that is your feed to the turbo. That is your return. This one here is a return. That one here is a feed. So the return here, I've put an AN10 fitting on it with AN10 hose in, and then Funk Motorsport heat shield. I'll show you the video, and bear in mind when the video you see it of the manifold and me wrapping the manifold, there is no room to put a direct down to the oil return. There is nowhere for it to just go. So what I've had to do is I've had to put a 90 degree in, go round the exhaust manifold into the feed. Now, if you're using this on a JZZ30 Sora, or you're doing a SC conversion or whatever, there's a big problem. So you have, and you can't really see it unfortunately, but where the steering rack is, there is a bolt that goes straight up, and your oil feed, your oil return is right there. So what you have to do is I've put a 90 degree in, at the return on the block, you have to unscrew that screw to be able to get into it. So once you've done your return, remove that screw. Don't remove it completely, but I've loosened it so it's flush, so you can actually get to the oil return, because you can't actually get to it with that bolt is fully up. So bear that in mind. You need to loosen that bolt to be able to get to the return, and then tighten everything up as you need to, then put the bolt in secure. But every time I've taken that off, I've had to basically loosen that bolt, because there's literally like a gap like that. There's next to nothing. It's unreal how it's not touching. So that is that. So again, once you've done the manifold was pretty straightforward. It bolts straight on. The only one problem that I have seen so far is, if you are going to do this, I suggest you do the thermostat before you put the manifold on, because you can't really see it, but there's a bolt right here and it actually touches the manifold. It is that tight. So if you ever need to take this thermostat housing out, you're going to have to take the manifold off to get to that nut. So I suggest before you do this, you change your thermostat first, because you are not going to get that off. I don't know if there's a modification for the thermostat housing. That is the original thermostat housing. But luckily I changed the thermostat anyway, but you're going to have to do that. And I really advise that you do that, because once this is on, that manifold's got to come off. They didn't supply turbo studs, they supplied nuts. Now, in one video, you'll see me discussing this. I didn't go with studs in the end because it worked. So you just go straight down. Problem being is this one under here, I had to go and get another one. Luckily I had one in my toolbox, but the bolts supplied do not fit under there. It is too tight. You physically can't get that in. So I've had to get a smaller bolt, but luckily it works. So that's that. What else? So we've done the coolant lines, we've done the oil lines. Right, so snail wise, you're very limited to where you can go. So with the oil return, the way I've done that, and pretty much the only way you can do it, you can see here I've got just enough clearance there, so you're very limited to how far that snail can go back. So I'm still figuring out how I'm going to do this, but obviously I've got that there. But I would recommend personally, if you can, get a pipe that's welded on. So you got loads of clearance here anyway, but I've had to cut this silicone pipe here to make it fit right. So in an ideal world, I would recommend get that welded, but I've just had it powder coated, so I'm not getting it welded again. So yeah, tit for tat. So the downpipe, what I'm talking about is, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but the downpipe, where you can see it go into that flexi there, it doesn't actually clear. So what the fabricators had to do for me is actually had to put an extension in that far to basically drop the downpipe, because it just does not fit. So if you are going for the original exhaust or whatever, you're gonna have to get that fabricated. It might have been a one-off for mine, but that's what I've had to do. So that's pretty much it turbo wise. If you are looking to put in a catch can, I've removed the cruise control there and then put all the AN10 fitting in and all the rest of it, but that's not turbo related. So if you are looking to keep the original intercooler, there's not too much of an issue. I just got some silicone hose and it bolted straight on. Problem I'm having at the moment is I've gone for the greedy intercooler and the kit just does not fit properly. So the pipe work is perfect up to here and intake side, but from here it does not fit. So greedy supply this pipe and it's just a crap fit. So I'm still figuring out how to do that. But if you're not going big boy intercooler at the moment, I wouldn't worry about that too much. The hardest part of this entire conversion is removing the originals. This is all pretty simple. Removing the old one is hard work, and unfortunately I didn't do a video on how to remove it. I wish I had, but I didn't. But yeah, you're going to struggle getting the twins off if you are not a mechanic or you have not done big jobs before. I suggest getting help. It's not complicated, it's more fiddly more than anything. So now the other issue that I've had as well, if you've still got the auto, you can't really see it, but the coolant lines from the auto box to the radiator get in the way of the wastegate. So you're going to have to bend them or remove them, or you're going to have to manipulate the pipework for it to fit. Unfortunately, you haven't really got much of a choice in that. Also, the screamer pipe that come with the kit was way too close, way too close to the engine bay for me. No matter where I twisted it or how I twisted it, it didn't sit right. It either went over the subframe, went too close to the gearbox, went too close to the block. So what I've had is I've actually had it welded. You can just see it there. I've actually had it welded into the downpipe. So again, that was a custom made part. So from my point of view, personally, if I was going to do it from scratch again, I would buy the manifold and I would buy the turbo. I wouldn't bother with the fitting kit. I wouldn't bother with the wastegate. I wouldn't bother with the screamer pipe, because to be fair, if you have the same issues as me, you won't be using them. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. One thing I do recommend is buy the intake pipe that they offer, because I didn't actually check and I had to buy this intake pipe for the air filter separately from China. And it doesn't fit great. So I do recommend that if you are buying the kit, you make sure that you get the kit with that intake pipe. I don't know what air filter comes with it. I went with K&N. All my cars have had K&N filters, although I do have a pipe across for this as well, but I haven't decided which one to do. So yeah, single turbo conversion. Scale of 1 to 10, I would say it's probably, removal is going to be an 8 to 9. Bear in mind that these cars are 30, well, coming up to 30 years old. It's hard work. Everything breaks, everything's brittle. Yeah, just bear that in mind. It is a 30-year-old turbo that's probably coming off, and they've never come off before. So bear that in mind. It is going to be a pig of a job. Installation, fairly simple. Fabrication is going to be required. But yeah, coolant, it was my biggest problem. I just didn't like the way it sat. I did not like the CXRacing kit at all. I never even fitted that. I went for the Mambo kit. But yeah, I would recommend, if you're doing this, get the Mamba fitting kit. I mean, that is a Mamba oil feed pipe, but the actual part, the feed screw, which goes into the block, the Chinese CXRacing one that I got snapped in the block. So I suggest you get good fitting kits. Just don't even bother with the cheap stuff, because you'll be doing it 3-4 times. I really do suggest you wrap the manifolds, because this gets very hot.